Good morning, Megha. Hi, welcome to Avenir's podcast series about CLM, customer adoption, and everything in the source to pay space.
A very good morning, Reza, and thank you for giving me this opportunity today. I'm indeed pleased.
Wonderful. Well, Megha, I think before we get started, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Certainly. Megha Paradkar, having close to 3 decades of IT experience, with, of course, forte in S2SP space, and in Avenir in the capacity of Vice President Customer Success. I'm accountable to ensure that we deliver our seamless product offerings to our customer, and more importantly, ensure that we provide them the success towards their CLM, particularly implementation or solution that they're bringing to their organization. My prime area of focus is to ensure that we provide continuous improvement, value add, and as we all say, right, the necessary ROI that they have invested in us, be it our product or our services.
No, wonderful. No, we're absolutely privileged to have you with us. I've spoken to a lot of customers, and all of them are very, very happy and delighted to be working with you and your team. So
Thank you
and
for
thank
those
you for
kind
everything
words.
that you do. And I think for a lot of customers and for any organization out there that's looking at implementing technology, choosing the right partner becomes very, very vital as a part of their implementation journey, right? So so what would your advice to any organization out there be when they are looking to partner with a technology service provider for their technology implementation journey?
Thank you for asking that as a starter here, Reza, because that's one thing that I hear from our customers when they see the way that we have implemented the solution. They themselves come and tell us that okay, we find that as a differentiator because the first element of differentiation is our combination of technology and domain. Like in today's world, Raza, everybody can offer you a solution which is very standard in terms of a technology, right? And again, in an era like AI, I don't think so there is any challenge. But I think the first important factor that I have seen working for both the parties, be as well for the partner and for the customer, when they're choosing the right SI, having that combination helps and takes you a long way because you're not merely looking at just the technology stack getting implemented and plugged into their ecosystem, right? So the first point is, of course, that combination. The second point is like how much are you abreast about the changes happening in their industry, of course coming back to that domain, but also how the technology is reflected in that industry. So a partner who can bring that kind of forecasting and guiding them towards like what all changes that we can expect brings a lot of value add when the customer is actually talking to
Yeah.
you in terms of their long term vision or even for that matter near term vision, right? And the last aspect is how the partner is going to help you achieve what you have defined as a success for that implementation. And when I say this, I'm not talking about mere trainings and all that. It's more so around change management, enabling the entire user base, taking them or rather embarking them on a journey which remains a continuous process, ensuring that they are not falling out, be it from technology or from the domain changes in the ever changing business market, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, those would be the three areas I would say so.
Okay. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Right. I think a partner that comes with that domain understanding is as critical as a partner that comes with the technology understanding. Right. I think that's very, very vital. And I think some of the other points that you made around uh, helping the customer adopt, helping the company adopt as they go into the journey is also very key. And I have got a couple of questions around that I'll come to a little
Sure.
later. But let's come back to our core offering, right? Contract lifecycle management. And you've worked with many of our customers in helping them adopt a contract lifecycle management system for themselves. For a company that's out there that's looking to adopt a CLM for the very first time, I wanted to get your thoughts on what would your advice be to them on how can they start a CLM adoption journey.
Okay. Again, thank you for asking that, Reza, because we call these as greenfield projects in Avenir, right? Where the customer is transitioning from manual processes to digitized solution, right? Now, here the first experience that we always keep in our mind is that the customer would always be having a sense like, I don't know what I don't know, right? So, from that perspective, we start with a very lean approach. And what I meant by that is like, okay, let's not revolve around workflows, life cycle, and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
Let's start very basic. What is it that we want to first cater to? Maybe just getting consolidation of your contracts into a repository. So we start off with merely getting consolidation of contracts into a repository where post activation life cycle can become easier, right? Your renewals, your amendments, anything of those sorts. So we advise our customers to go in a very, streamlined or structured approach, if I may say so, where we say it is, crawl, walk, run. And with that methodology, maybe we set up that repository first. Then we introduced, the life cycle for very often used contract types like NDA, SOW, MSA, a very packaged kit kind of a thing.
Right.
And then you can advance it to whatever complex workflows if you intend to. But for all you know, typically my experience tells me, Reza, that vanilla implementation of the basic, bare minimum workflow and repository helps the customer to be up and running.
Right.
And that whole fear of the unknown basically, frizzles out. So that would be my take about, going completely from manual to digitized.
No, absolutely right. Because I think any new tech adoption is like this journey for any organization, right? And if they're able to start seeing small but immediate value, that just ensures that everybody is aligned, everybody starts seeing value, they're able to use the system more, so adoption increases.
Correct.
And I think that's a key to a successful adoption is start small, start with repository,
Correct.
And then build on to more of your processes like intake and authoring and all of that.
Correct.
Right? No, cool. And I think that's definitely great advice. So just switching tracks a little bit, right? In the age of AI, how are you approaching CLM adoption in the age of AI? Because a lot of businesses I see out there still are trying to figure out the right skill set of teams that they need to have in the world of AI, the right kind of processes that you need to put, because AI has changed a lot in terms of the way we work, the kind of access to information we have, and the kind of things that we're even able to do these days, right? So what's your approach to helping customers adopt AI as a part of their CLM tech?
Yeah, I think the first element towards this is, even before talking about adoption, Reza, we take one step back and try to understand that is the customer asking for any AI element merely because of, the fear of missing out, or they genuinely have defined some use case that they know that AI element is going to give them an advantage about, right? Okay. So because we do this, complete intensive exercise with our customer, because if I can really share my experience candidly today, Reza, everybody talks about AI. Now, when we start deep diving about, okay, help me, what use case are we talking here? Or when we bring our product offering around, like classic example, our AVAI, right? Where we talk about like ask a contract, right? You can use our tool and get better insights about your contract before you act on it. Again, I'm referring to most of a post-activation scenario here. But if that's not what your area is referring to, and you are talking about having an agentic AI enablement being there to do something else, then you need to have that definition with you. Of course, Aavenir, like our team, would certainly help you to come, or understand it better. But unless and until that is defined from the customer, I find that it could be a difficult journey for the customer to move towards that adoption. So now, how do we address it? Well, first, this definition helps. Like, what is that outcome that you're trying to achieve by introducing AI? And what is it that it would take away as a pain that you can then start focusing on something else that can, of course, give you better advantage? Now, once we do that, that's where we help them to get an understanding of that AI offering them either a metric that is very tangible, right? Or that is enhancing their, processes, thus in turn their entire um, maybe work life that they're expecting from that digitized solution. So that would be my take on AI adoption. I think unless we have defined it what it is
Right.
going to achieve, we really don't jump on getting that adopted, because that automatically will happen as a byproduct.
Got it.
That would be my take.
Got it. So I think what you're saying is don't get into the fear of FOMO, right? So don't get
Yeah.
into FOMO and do something, but figure out what you really want to solve with AI
Yeah.
and just start with adopting that
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
getting caught in FOMO. Right?
And now that you just mentioned about that, sorry, it just strike me that another element that I see, Raza, here is like the expectations out of AI. Today, when I'm talking to my customers, and some of the customers, like, okay, when they are internally talking to their different stakeholders, for them, AI is like a magic wand, right? Oh, it's coming out and giving me something like out of the box, like boom, right? No, that may not happen, right? So, even setting up that right expectations, because that will again tie up to your adoption. Because
Yeah.
if you know that the accuracy, the precision is not going to be 99.99
On day
every
one, right?
time, exactly, on day one, particularly, it would be a gradual process. So, these things would play a vital role, I would say.
Okay. Okay. No, I think that's very very sound advice. Um, True, and so switching from AI to just regular implementation, I think there's a lot of effort that companies put and partners together work towards getting to that go live point, right? And there's this saying that most implementations fail after the go live because of adoption, right? So beyond go live, I mean, how do you enable our customers to really adopt the product, right? So what happens after go live? According
Yeah,
to you?
that's always the interesting zone, Raza, because you're right. I mean, the scenario changes because until that implementation or until the go live, right, you're dealing with a small pool of people who have tried or attempted to bring all those requirements to you, which of course you have addressed through your product and services. The moment you open up the floodgate to the larger floor, the the way that the product is perceived matters a lot.
Yeah.
And that is why instead of calling that as an adoption or merely change management, we call that as enablement.
Okay.
We enable the entire user base from our customer in such a manner that, first of all, they are not, having any anxiety attacks like, okay, now what's this? Am I been put into a box that I have to get into a rigid process, right? So we take away that impression. And how do we do that? That's basically we cut that. So our enablement program revolves around 3 blocks, Raza. One is we identify the personas.
Okay.
Now that product can be used by different personas in different ways. So we have these focused user groups, right, where those personas are being catered to from the enablement perspective. And when I say enablement, that's not merely training. We sit with them, we understand about from the domain use case how that feed is going to help them while they are using it, and is there any kind of extension that that piece of information has been, either spitting it out to or been consumed by something else, right?
Okay.
Now that helps the user to understand that, okay, why that navigation is the way that
Right.
it is designed, because it is doing that. So that intelligence helps them to get themselves enabled. So that's my first take about, personas based enablement. The second area is like, now that we spoke about that, how that information has been consumed, we make them understand the larger picture, or rather they can also educate us like how that whole, pieces of puzzle is tying up. So with that, there is always a cross collaboration or cross departmental, exchange that happens.
Okay.
Now that importance of, or rather the transparency that the product is throwing you, that helps us to get that metric in a manner where, like, we show them that, is that what you define as success? Is it helping you in efficiency? Is that helping you in getting transparency or standard process? What is it? So that brings up again to, basically to a point where what would be a continuous measure that can help you to give that confidence. And the third piece is where we ensure that we bring other experiences to the table. We tell them that, hey, we have experienced this with other customer. Do you think you anticipate that? So basically, I would not call it as forecasting, but sharing our experiences
Right.
that can probably turn up or shape up in their current scenarios, right? That whole dynamic nature. So I think that together
Right.
give them the confidence that first of all, Avenir is not leaving us high and dry. We are always there, right? Second, we make them think about certain things that they may not be thinking in their
Right.
current, scenario. So I think that's what is giving us success in terms of ultimately resulting in good adoption.
No. I think that's wonderful, right? So, and just to summarize, I think you're saying one is persona based implementation and adoption. So looking at what really matters to that persona and implementing a system and getting them to adopt based on the persona. The second you mentioned is very metric driven monitoring and feedback loops and those reviews, making sure that we're looking at the right kind of metrics to see success. And third, bringing in best practices from other learnings that
Correct.
we've had, right? So because we work with many customers and
Yes.
being able to share learnings from different industries, different size or organizations,
Correct.
all add value to customers. So I think definitely great ways of ensuring adoption and also making the project successful.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wonderful. And so moving on to sort of the next topic that I want to talk about, and we spoke a lot about CLM, right? And of course, Avenir as a company, we have an entire source to pay suite of products, right? And a lot of our customers that we have today have started with CLM, but have very quickly moved on to adopting other, offerings that Avenir has, like, RFP management, intake, onboarding,
Correct.
invoice management, etc., AP automation. So when you talk to customers, how do you help them see that vision of expanding to an entire source to pay integrated suite of products from just starting with a CLM?
I think this is where, going back to the first question that you asked us about, identifying the right partner.
Yeah.
Bringing that domain, this is where it becomes crucial because now we are not keeping ourselves in silos. Even to a matter like many people ask me that when you're dealing with legal folks, how does S2P really, surface up,
Yeah.
right? Because I would not say that they are working in silos, but typically there is a boundary that gets defined. So if we look at this particular angle, the the way that it seeds up, all right, or penetrates, it's because we are looking at that use case not just from that siloed manner. When we know that that particular data or piece of information is going to be consumed, it automatically gives us a trail that touches to the certain points, be it the upstream, in this case sourcing, if at all we are focusing on CLM, or downstream, right, towards invoicing and other things. So when we are talking to our customers during our requirements workshop, when we are doing the whiteboarding, the diagram or that entire design that we draw, Raza, is not only pertaining to CLM offering. At least the landscape that we draw is S2P.
Okay.
Now, how much we are implementing, of course, the focus would remain to that. But the landscape gets drawn there. Now, when we are coming closer to, going live with that, there is automatically a continuation about like, hey, you know what, let's talk about, because this data piece that is residing in CLM, classic example again, contracts, right? I want to see a discrepancy about the invoices being sent to me. Are they really in line
In
with
line with
my
the contract,
contract,
right.
right? For all you know, there is a big leakage there, right? So once we are done with that, that's where we bring those ideas about like, hey, now let's find out, is there a mechanism that I can show you that deviation, that the invoices have some leakages, or for that matter, that the suppliers that you are doing your business with, this is the amount of spend quantum that you are spending, and do you know the risk, or do you really know that is that the same renewal that you really want to do? Again, tying back, not losing my focus from CLM, right? And that's how they understand that, okay, these guys know what they're talking about, these guys know our space.
Yeah.
And that's how then we move on to the S2P, and then the adoption, again repeating the same success story from CLM, helps us to get us there.
Right. So basically showing them that connected value, right?
Connected value,
and how
absolutely.
those different tech elements or different solutions sort of
Have that
have that combined ripple
correct
effect of adding more value one
value
after
to
the
it.
other, right? So Megha, you've had a wonderful journey, in the technology space, right? And growing to become the vice president of customer success here at Avenir. I'd like for you to share what inspired you, throughout your journey, and what's brought you here today.
Sure. So let me first start by saying, Reza, that the world has been kind to me. All right. Um, I do not really want to call that as a career graph or a woman per se, but in general, I know that there is sort of, a myth that it is a difficult journey. I want to first start with that it's not so, right? And why I say so is because what inspired me to where I am today, how to really get here, was more about that. Honestly, the world does not put you in any category. If you know what you're good at and you keep continuous learning around it, leverage that, um, keep yourself improving in that area that you have identified as your natural strengths, then they're always open, with open arms in terms of welcoming you. And then automatically it helps you to grow, right? So, coming back to your question about what inspired me, just like any other, software developer in, a decade or so earlier, it was a regular graph of coming as a developer, right?
Okay.
But I think somewhere it dawned on me that I have a natural ability of looking at larger things,
Okay.
identifying problems, and not just identifying them, but trying to resolve those with multiple options. And that's where I started building on that, right?
Okay.
That okay, that seems like it's coming out as a nice niche combination in during those times where we were all growing through that tech stack and
Yeah.
ever changing technology and things like that. So that helped me that, hey, I'm creating my own space with a blend of technology and domain. And with that, I think my ability to take risk helped me to move on to different things, be
Right.
it roles, be it taking new initiatives, taking something that I've never done before, right? So that kept on inspiring me, to be very honest, Reza. It was more so of finding me that helped me
Yeah.
to contribute in different areas and landing up at this role in Avenir. Because even today, when as customer success leader, when I'm representing Avenir, it is the areas like this, the area like this that helps me to know that, okay, I can play this card of my characteristics or my trait, maybe like technology, when I'm dealing with people who are, we are on ServiceNow platform. So dealing with those folks, I bring that tech side. But then when I'm talking to some business users, I don't even refer anything that comes out as a jargon.
Right.
I come to a, layman's language.
Right.
So yeah, that has been a very wonderful journey, I would say.
No, and no, it's been wonderful, and it's definitely inspiring for all of us here to work with you every day, right?
Thank you.
And so I'd like to ask you, there are like a lot of women out there who are today looking at getting that seat on the leadership table, right? What is that advice that you would offer to all of them, and how would you inspire them to be leaders in their respective domain, their
Sure.
respective organizations?
Yeah, thank you for asking that, Reza, because I would like to take this opportunity to share, or rather maybe challenge a myth here, right? We as women tend to think that if I'm really career focused, I will lose on my life. And when I say so, it's on the personal end, and vice versa. If I keep on too much into, I will not be able to have a career graph or ambitious career woman. I would say from my personal experience that no, that's certainly not the case. If you really love what you do at work, you will find ways and means of getting that thing done and getting that sense of accomplishment or achievement, right? And on the other half, if you know that there are people around you who love you and would support you,
Yeah.
you will not have to worry about, meeting those check boxes on your personal end, right? So I don't want to get into that cliched conversation of work-life balance and all that. Honestly, no, you cannot have that because it is absolutely amalgamated. Let's treat it that way. And the more you come with that thought, then it becomes easier. So that's the first thing I would like to tell to the aspiring women, that don't categorize it or, classify it into separate. Let's keep it integrated. That's how you would grow. The second aspect is this whole risk ability, taking risk, right, Reza? I would strongly urge the aspiring women to, if they have it naturally, great. If not, then at least try to inculcate that in themselves. Because majority of the times, Reza, that I've seen when I talk to these, women who are growing up in different roles in our organization, I tend to see that they have a lot of substance within them, but they sort of, hold themselves back like, no, I think, the room is full of intellectual people. I may not just say it or,
Right.
But that's where, right? Even if at all you want to bring out an idea that may not be resonating with anyone else in the room, and you want to take that risk that I'm going to open up something as a very different idea, and try that, whatever suggestion that you're giving, try executing that, right? Those different initiatives. It may work, it may not work.
Right.
But let's take that risk. I see that contributes a lot when you want to really grow up in the chain of that, the organization hierarchy, because you show the organization as well. And even in general life, right? I mean, not just for your professional graph.
Right.
Try taking those risks. And the third most important area that I would say, Reza, is avoid being complacent. If you think that, now this is it, I don't need to learn any new things. And again, I'm not only revolving around technology. Right? What is happening in the market that we are playing in, right? What is the latest trend? What is going to be the new emerging ideas? I mean, again, I don't want to be sounding more about AI, but anything in general, right? The more we keep on learning, and as we have all heard it from the most successful men and women, that if we keep that in mind, that takes you a long way. And I think, sky is the limit. Now, in fact, we can't even say sky is the limit, right? Thanks to people who are taking us in spaces.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. And no, thanks a lot for sharing those wonderful insights and advice, Megha. I think, going out of your comfort zone, taking that risk, taking initiative. I think wonderful advice. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure. Wonderful talking to you, Reza.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.